For more than 2 decades, one company quietly controlled the flow of human knowledge. Every question, every search, every curiosity passed through its systems. It was the starting point of the internet for billions of people. That company was Google. It began in 1998 when 2 Stanford students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, built a search engine designed to organize the world's information. At the time, the internet was chaotic. Finding useful information was difficult. Google solved that problem. It made search faster, simpler, and more accurate. As more people used the internet, more people used Google. And as more people used Google, it became more powerful. But Google's real strength wasn't just search, it was advertising. Every time someone searched for something, Google showed ads alongside the results. Those ads generated enormous revenue. Billions of searches turned into billions of dollars. This system became the foundation of Google's business. It wasn't just helping people find information, it was monetizing curiosity itself. By the 2010s, Google had become one of the richest and most dominant companies in history. Its position seemed unbreakable. Competitors tried to challenge it, but none succeeded. Microsoft's Bing existed, but it never threatened Google's dominance. For most people, the internet and Google were the same thing. Google didn't just control search, it controlled access to knowledge. But beneath the surface, a technological shift was beginning. Artificial intelligence had existed for decades, but it wasn't yet powerful enough to replace search. That began to change as computing power increased and new AI models were developed. These models could understand language, generate text, and answer questions in ways that traditional search engines could not. In 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT. At first glance, it looked simple: a blank screen, a prompt, a place to type a question. But when users began interacting with it, something felt different. ChatGPT didn't show links, it gave answers. Instead of sending users to websites, it provided complete explanations instantly. People no longer needed to open multiple pages to find what they were looking for. They could simply ask. This changed the relationship between humans and information. For the first time, search was no longer the only way to find answers. The impact wasn't immediate, but it was noticeable. Students began using AI to learn. Developers used it to write code. Professionals used it to analyze problems. Everyday users turned to AI instead of traditional search engines. And every time someone asked AI instead of searching Google, Google lost something. Not users immediately, but control. Google's entire business model depended on showing links and advertisements. AI reduced the need for both. When users got answers directly, they didn't need to click anything. And when they didn't click, Google couldn't show ads. The system that had powered Google for decades was being bypassed. Meanwhile, Microsoft saw the opportunity. It partnered with OpenAI and integrated AI into its own search engine. Bing, which had long been irrelevant, suddenly offered something new. It wasn't just a search engine, it was an assistant. Google had the technology to compete. In fact, many of the breakthroughs behind modern AI had originated inside Google itself. But releasing it publicly was risky. If AI replaced traditional search, it could disrupt Google's primary source of revenue. For years, Google had been protecting its own business model. Now, that model was being challenged from outside. Google responded by accelerating its AI development and launching its own systems. It began integrating AI into its products, attempting to adapt to the new landscape. But the change wasn't just technological, it was behavioral. People were no longer navigating the internet the same way. Instead of searching, they were asking. Instead of browsing, they were interacting. The role Google had played for decades was beginning to shift. It was no longer the only gateway between people and information. It was now part of a larger ecosystem shaped by artificial intelligence. Google still had billions of users. Its infrastructure remained vast. Its influence was still enormous, but the nature of its dominance had changed. For the first time in its history, Google was no longer defining how people accessed information. It was adapting to a world where answers no longer belonged to search engines alone.